Hello, my name is Emery. I was in the middle of closing a multi-million-dollar deal when I found out my grandmother had been sitting alone at a train station for 9 hours, cold, hungry, and still believing someone from our family would come. They didn't. They were all at the lake house sipping wine, taking selfies, laughing in the sun. Not one of them mentioned her name. Not one of them looked back. And the worst part, I think they planned it that way. Why would a family go that far to erase the one person who built everything they now claim to own? Would you like to know? Friday morning, sunlight filtered through the tall windows of my San Francisco apartment, spilling across the hardwood floors. The kettle whistled gently as I reviewed the notes for the meeting. I'd spent months preparing for something with too many zeros and too much pressure. A funding deal that could change everything for my firm. I should have been focused, and I was for a while. Until the group chat started buzzing. It was the family thread titled ironically Team Halden Forever, a name Vera, my mother, had picked years ago like some kind of badge of honor. She liked names, appearances, clean group chat titles, smiling family portraits. What she didn't like apparently was responsibility. The first message was from Isolda, my sister. Mom, what time does Grandma's train get in again? Then came Vera, Sacramento Valley Station, 10:15 a.m. That was in less than 3 hours. I stopped stirring my tea. Leora chimed in next as if she'd been waiting for her cue. I can't do the pickup. I've got an interior consult at 11 o'clock. I'll be out of town by then. Zania, I'd love to help, but I've got the cake delivery for the party window between 9:30 and 11:30. If I leave, I lose the slot. Avon, she can call a cab. We're not savages. I stared at the screen. There it was. Casual, dismissive, soaked in entitlement. The assumption that someone else would handle it. That Grandma, Ella Laner, our matriarch, was just a logistical inconvenience, not a human being, not the woman who raised 3 daughters, paid off 2 mortgages, and kept our fractured family barely tethered through decades of dysfunction. I typed slowly, controlling the urge to sound angry. Can someone please confirm they're picking her up? 3 dots bubbled, then disappeared. Nothing. My stomach tensed. I glanced at the time. 7:48 a.m. My meeting was at 10 o'clock. No way I could get to Sacramento and back in time. Not with Bay Area traffic and this being a Friday. And they knew that. That's why I hadn't been expected to join the Lake House reunion until Sunday. We'd agreed. We'd planned. I picked up my phone and texted Mom directly. Just checking. You've got a plan to get Grandma, right? Her train lands soon. 2 minutes later, I got a voice note in response. I hesitated. She rarely sent voice messages. Vera preferred the curated neatness of written replies. I tapped the play button. Oh, Emery, she said, followed by a dry chuckle. She's fine. Don't worry so much. That was it. No plan, no name, no assurance that anyone would actually be there waiting when Grandma stepped off that train. Just that sarcastic, patronizing tone I'd known since I was 12. The one she reserved for when she thought I was overreacting. She's fine. The same words she'd said when I came home with a split lip after a boy shoved me at summer camp. She's fine. When Grandma was left out of the family photo at his oldest wedding because she didn't fit the aesthetic. I held the phone in my palm, letting those words sink into the silence of my apartment. The kettle had stopped. My tea was cold. I stared at the screen a few seconds longer before locking it and placing it face down. She's fine. I could have canceled the meeting. I could have rearranged everything and driven to Sacramento myself, but I didn't because they said they'd handle it. And I needed, to believe that this time they meant it. That this time Grandma wouldn't be forgotten. I finished my tea and returned to my laptop. I had a presentation to rehearse, slides to finalize, a firm to represent. I told myself I was being paranoid, that I was the youngest, the dramatic one, that I was making too much of it. But the pit in my stomach didn't agree. They all claimed to love her, especially when it suited them. When she was needed for a babysitting emergency or to lend money with no questions asked. But when it came time to pick her up from a train station, she became a burden to delegate. I remembered a Thanksgiving 3 years ago. Grandma had made her famous cranberry stuffing from scratch, spent all day in the kitchen, apron dusted with flour, humming while she chopped and stirred. When she brought it to the table, Leora barely glanced up. "Oh," she said. "We already have 2 kinds of stuffing." Grandma smiled politely and placed the dish on the side. No one touched it. I did because I saw her hands tremble when she served herself a spoonful as if trying to prove it wasn't wasted. They never noticed things like that, but I did. I always did. My phone buzzed again. Another group chat message. "Zania, sun is perfect at the lake today. Can't wait to toast to the Halden legacy tonight. A lake looks insane. Got the jet skis prepped. Let's go." The pit in my stomach twisted harder. No mention of Grandma. No check-in to see if she'd landed. No picture of someone at the station holding a sign with her name. Nothing. They were already at the lake house. The one she helped pay for. The one they posted about like it was theirs alone. I closed the chat. I looked down at my notes. The graphs and projections suddenly a blur. Numbers swam in front of me, meaningless. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, then dropped to my lap. I thought about the way Grandma used to tuck handwritten notes into my school lunchbox, even in high school. How she mailed birthday cards a week early just in case the mail was slow. How she sat through every one of my piano recital even when arthritis made the wooden chairs unbearable. "She's fine," they said. But she wouldn't be. I didn't know yet how bad it would get, but somewhere in the place behind my ribs that always seemed to sense these things too early, I knew. I knew something was about to go very, very wrong. That doubt started years ago. The first time I saw them leave her behind. Not physically, not with bags packed or a door slammed in her face. It was more subtle than that. It was in the rolled eyes, the muttered complaints, the way her stories were brushed off like irrelevant static. I learned early that in our family, ignoring someone was more brutal than arguing with them. I was 19 when it finally sank in. It was Christmas, and I had just come home from my first semester of college. The tree was lit, the fire was going, and the Halden house smelled like cinnamon candles and overcooked turkey. The kind of perfect picture Vera loved to force-feed guests and followers. Grandma had spent the afternoon baking her signature gingerbread cookies, real ones, not the box mix junk my sister Isolde swore by. They were soft in the middle, slightly crisp at the edges, spiced just right. She brought them over in a large red tin with a velvet bow. She even added a handwritten note taped under the lid. "Merry Christmas, my darlings." I watched from the hallway as Isolde opened the tin in the kitchen. She didn't even glance at the cookies. "Why does she keep doing this?" she muttered, tossing the lid aside like it was trash. "She's getting senile." Vera stood next to her, glass of white wine in hand, nodding. "She just wants attention, like always." Then quieter, barely above a whisper, but loud enough for me to catch it. "I swear sometimes I think she just keeps hanging on to make everything more complicated." I didn't make a sound. I didn't move. I just stood there frozen while my stomach clenched. I wanted to believe I'd misheard. That the twinkle in Vera's voice was sarcasm or some sick brand of humor. But it wasn't. It was fatigue, annoyance, and worst of all, honesty. That night, I found Grandma in the laundry room quietly washing the dish towels while the party carried on upstairs. She smiled when she saw me, but her eyes were distant. Not sad, just used to it, like she'd long since stopped expecting anything different. And I hated that. I hate it now, years later, as I picture her sitting alone at the station, because of course she would have gotten there early. Grandma was never late. Not for weddings, not for birthdays, not even for doctor's appointments that no one else bothered to attend with her. It was just past 10:30 a.m. when her train rolled into Sacramento Valley Station. I could see it in my head how she probably waited for the crowd to clear before stepping off, dragging her little roller bag with the faded floral print, wearing that pale blue cardigan she always brought for travel days. She would have paused at the bottom of the platform ramp, scanning the crowd with a